Hey guys, Harry Thomas here and welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to let you all know my Rotten Tomatoes scores that I disagree with, and my awesome friend on YouTube, Rachel Wanger, she posted her video of the Rotten Tomatoes scores she disagreed with, so she inspires me, and I've never fully saw eye to eye with Rotten Tomatoes in the past, but this year, 2018 especially, I don't trust Rotten Tomatoes after seeing their scores for movies. I don't trust their rating system. We as movie fans have the justification to judge Rotten Tomatoes scores whether they're justified or unjustified. Yeah, but I question whether Rotten Tomatoes is even a good website. I'm far from the first YouTube critic to question this. And I can't wait to hear your thoughts on Rotten Tomatoes this year as a whole in the comments section. So without further ado, if you want to see the Rotten Tomatoes scores I disagree with this year, then just keep watching. The one Rotten Tomatoes score I disagree with this year more than any other is Ocean's 8, easily. 67% too harsh, far too harsh, and the audience score's even harsher, can you believe it? Like, while the critic score is 67%, the audience score is a staggeringly low 47%. Critics, to give an entire female spin-off of the Oceans franchise a Rotten Tomatoes score this low, that's sexist. Females deserve to shine in this franchise, not just males, and not just that, but it's also a fun and harmless twist. If it was down to me, I would have rated Ocean's 8 a 98% on Rotten Tomatoes, unintended since it's Ocean's 8. So I suppose for Ocean's 9 and 10, I'll rate Ocean's 9 a 99% and Ocean's 10 a 100% for Rotten Tomatoes. And to continue cruelly low scores for underrated movies this year, we have I Feel Pretty. Why the 34%? This movie deserves a 96%. It is a beautiful and heartwarming tale, and the coming-of-age tale of Amy Schumer's character. She's convinced that she, well, if she's this pretty and just perfect girl, that she'll have the man of her dreams, she'll have the job of her dreams, and her life will automatically be made right. After attempting to be perfect, she realizes by the end of the movie she was perfect to begin with and needed no transformation. And that's a theme that everybody deserves to see. We're perfect to begin with. If we tell ourselves we're perfect, and I shall review this movie later on this year, and I shall rate it 5 stars out of 5 and explain why that 34% on Rotten Tomatoes is harsh bullshit. It is a far more important and comedy than the critics make it out to be. It's evident that the critics seem to want the extinction of the Jurassic Park franchise itself, similar to the Ice Age franchise, once they rated Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, most underrated Jurassic Park movie, a 51% on Rotten Tomatoes. Some went as far as calling it worse than Jurassic Park 3. I don't get it. I would rate Fallen Kingdom 81% personally. It's far from a flawless movie. Don't get me wrong, but it's a original Jurassic Park movie, and it tackled themes of man versus dinosaurs better than Jurassic Park 3 and The Lost World ever did. I, for one, am up for a third installment in this franchise, and Inside Out Fan 2001 would be on the same boat as he's dinosaur obsessed. How come critics were dicks to Life of the Party just because they're blinded by hatred for Melissa McCarthy? She's awesome, by the way. 38% for Life of the Party? What? Are you critics heartless or something? If it was up to me, I would have rated Life of the Party a 73%. Life of the Party may not be a masterpiece of comedy, but it doesn't disappoint in that it has some heart to offer as a comedy. And one of the better mother and daughter bonds of 2018. I saw this movie with my mum, and it was a pleasant cinema trip. And this movie's similar to I Feel Pretty in its Rotten Tomatoes score. I'm sure Emma Holmes would be with me about I Feel Pretty and Life of the Party being underrated, as she defended I Feel Pretty. I also don't get the hate for Tomb Raider by rating it a 49%. The critics were like, nah, it's... I also don't get the hate for Tomb Raider. The critics rated it just 49% on Rotten Tomatoes. They're like, it's a video game movie, so automatic negative grades. I'm like, critics, this movie is the way forward for video game movies, not just by Alicia Vikander's epic and electrifying portrayal of Lara Croft, one of the greatest protagonists of 2018, but it's a adventure movie that literally captured the thrill of the game, and video games can translate well to film if done right, and Tomb Raider is an example of that. I would have rated Tomb Raider personally an 85%. It's far more worth your money than shit like Resident Evil The Final Chapter. At the time, I sort of got the hate for A Winkle in Time, but re-evaluating my thoughts on A Winkle in Time, it's not that bad and deserves higher than the too lower 40%. I personally rate it a 68%. As A Winkle in Time may be a heavily flawed but also magical movie, and Ava DuVernay did a decent job directing, so it's a little underrated. Alright, so now that we've covered the scores that were too low, now let's move on to the scores that are too high this year. Peter Rabbit's Rotten Tomatoes scores was one of the scores that came up in the episode of Ryan O'Toole's Rotten or Fresh that I stars in, and ever since then it's moved up, can you believe, from 60% to 63%. I'm speechless. This disgrace to Beatrix Potter's beautiful works deserves no higher than a 0%. How could the critics literally rate Solo a Star Wars story 71%? They're rating a Star Wars movie that doesn't need to exist that high. Thankfully, the audience score is lower, similar to The Last Jedi, but Solo a Star Wars story, it deserves a 0%. It doesn't need to exist. It added nothing to Star Wars. Critics, you are untrustworthy by rating the disastrous Deadpool 2 a 84%. 3%. The sequel that tarnished the first Deadpool, which is one of the greatest comic book movies ever made. Deadpool 2, in the direction it took its story, it also deserves a 0. Oh, that's my most controversial and unpopular opinion in this entire video. I'm aware everybody loved Deadpool 2 except me. If you love it, that's awesome. As for Teen Titans Go to the Movies receiving a 91 frickin' %, WTF for critics. That's almost made me done with Rotten Tomatoes in general. Unlike movies like Legend of the Guardians, The Owls of Gahoo just have a 50% and a 91% score. That's a score as high as the Pixar and Disney Renaissance movies and the How to Train Your Dragon movies. Teen Titans Go to the Movies is continuing to rape the original Teen Titans exactly like the show, so it deserves, once again, a 0. A big fat 0. I guess the critics were singing along to this movie so much that they forgot to judge the quality of the film. I don't get Mamma Mia's Here We Go Again's 80% on Rotten Tomatoes. I don't get the hype. I'd raise it a 15% at best. Did nothing better than the first Mamma Mia, which wasn't the greatest musical in the world to begin with. Please don't hurt me, please spare me, please hear me out. I don't hate Mission Impossible Fallout, but I don't like it either. It's just more of the same in this James Bond ripping off franchise that is Mission Impossible. To me, a 97% for Mission Impossible Fallout, that's crazy. The critics seem to think this movie's Oscar-worthy or something. I don't think so. I don't get it. Far from it. I'd rate Fallout a 42% at best. Whoa, what a controversial but fun video. Well, I love you guys, thank you for watching, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and what are your picks for Rotten Tomatoes scores that you disagree with this year? Please comment and let me know, please like this video and subscribe, please follow on Twitter and on Google+, and on Instagram, and I'll see you all next time, and remember, movies are us. Bye guys.